Let's bring in former CIA officer and station chief Dan Hoffman, who spent 5 years in Moscow. He's now a Fox News contributor. Dan, always a pleasure. Happy Independence Day to you. You look at the mix here, and thank you. And you look at the conversation that the president has now had with both President Zelensky, President Putin. This diplomatically really hasn't moved much lately. What's it going to take to try to get any type of breakthrough in this war on Ukraine?
So first and foremost, the timing of the Russian attack on Ukraine, the largest attack since the war began, that was deliberate on the part of Vladimir Putin. In spite of having suffered 1 million casualties in a grinding war of attrition, Putin continues relentlessly to be focused on trying to topple the government in Ukraine and installing a puppet regime. But simultaneously, he's also engaged in a war against the United States. U.S. leadership, for sure, is on the line, and Vladimir Putin wants to show that his dictatorship, his allies, China and North Korea and Iran, are stronger than the United States. And that's where I think the President Trump needs to call Putin's bluff. And we need to do all that we can to support Ukraine. We're not talking about regime change in the Middle East or boots on the ground. We're just talking about being the arsenal for democracy and supporting a free country that wants to stay that way. So what do we need to do, I think, is consider the sanctions against Russia that Senator Lindsey Graham is a strong proponent of, but also get Ukraine the military assistance that they need, revive the U.S. Military-industrial base so that we can be strong and defend Ukraine and be prepared to project force when needed in the Pacific and other places.
The news out of the White House today went in the other direction, not today, but this past week. The announcement that the United States is going to pause the delivering of some air defenses to Ukraine. How much does that hurt the war effort? Certainly, it has to expose more Ukrainian civilians to Russian attacks, right?
Right. I think what Vladimir Putin wants to do is destroy Ukraine's will to resist and to fight for their independence. And this, unfortunately, is a step in that direction. There's going to, I think, to be congressional hearings and oversight on this issue. Apparently, it was taken in the Department of Defense. There were questions about whether it was coordinated with the president or not. Certainly, it can be reversed. There were 30 Patriot air defense missiles in play there, and questions about whether that would have impacted U.S. military readiness. I've heard reports that it would not have done so. And so I think this is just something that we'll have to consider and we'll have to track in the coming days.
Some of the concern is that for years, for decades even, the United States has been trying to put more of our attention on what's going on with China and in Asia. Does the U.S. have the capability and capacity to fully backstop Ukraine while turning our focus also to what's going on in East Asia?
So the focus on China shouldn't just be in Asia. China is active in Europe. They are active in Africa and the Middle East, and they are supporting Ukraine in the destructive, most destructive war in Europe since the Second World War. So if we want to target China, if we want to counter China and defend ourselves and deter China, the best thing we could do is make this Ukraine war a loser for China and for Russia, obviously, and Iran and North Korea as well. Break that axis of dictatorships. I think that's the focus right now that we should have. Again, no U.S. boots on the ground, just supporting Ukrainians who are bravely fighting for their country's independence.
And how can sanctions begin to constrict the amount of money that Russia has to keep its war machine going?
Well, Senator Graham has emphasized that we want to cut off Russia's ability to earn currency through their exports of hydrocarbons, and those secondary sanctions would have an impact on that. They also carry with them some risks to the world economy, but for sure China has given Russia the wherewithal to stay in the fight by importing Russian cheaper gas and oil. And so if we can impact that, that might have an impact on the war. But simultaneously, we've got to give Ukraine the military support that they need.
All right, Dan Hoffman, thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you. Happy Independence Day.
You too.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.